Coming up this week on Talk with Audrey, Tom Lewis, the founder and CEO of T.W. Lewis Company, a Scottsdale, Arizona-based real estate investment company, and the author of Solid Ground, a foundation for winning in work and in life, offers his roadmap for finding success and happiness. Dr. Candice Robinson, Director of Scientific Affairs and Public Health Vaccines at GSK, and Dr. Liz Moir, Director of Patient Care Svcs.at Albertsons, have information about the importance of preventative vaccinations, adult vaccinations, and the risk associated with vaccine-preventable diseases. Registered dietitian Frances Largeman-Roth shares nutritious on-the-go snack ideas that are perfect for the spring and summer travel season. It's all coming up this week on Talk with Audrey, insightful, intelligent, and inspiring conversations and information to help you improve the quality of your life. I'm Audrey Adams, and I'll be right back after the break. You're watching Talk with Audrey. Welcome back. Tom Lewis is the founder and CEO of T.W. Lewis Company, a Scottsdale, Arizona-based real estate investment company, and he is also the author of Solid Ground, a foundation for winning in work and in life. He takes on some of the questions and popular myths about what it takes to live a fruitful life and offers his roadmap for finding success and happiness. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Audrey. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me. Guys, Tom was a guest on my radio show, and I asked him to join me today because I wanted you all to meet him, and of course I wanted to dive in deeper to his book. So Tom, your book starts out at the beginning. You came from very modest beginnings and created this incredibly successful life and career. What was most important to you in your younger years that helped pave the way for your success?
Well, someone once said that I was motivated by twin engines, a mother that was totally close to me and approved of everything I did, and then a difficult father who was an alcoholic, but a good guy, but not a great father. And that motivated me to succeed probably as much as anything, because when I was 16 years old, my dad filed bankruptcy and we had to move out of our house. And that was a terrible embarrassment for my mother. And I think it was then and there that I decided that would never happen to me.
Well, after you made the decision to forge a different path, how soon did you put your plans in place?
Well, I think one of the things that I did was, and my mother encouraged me to do this as a young kid and then in college, was to be open to new experiences. And so as I tell the story in my book, I lived in 9 states and had all kinds of unique experiences, met a lot of different people, traveled a lot, did a few crazy things, made a few mistakes. But in doing all that, really just kind of put together a really good list of experiences from which I learned and took away different lessons from different experiences. And I think that's kind of where I got what I think is a little bit of wisdom.
And your appreciation of and openness to getting to know all types of people also probably created a number of great experiences. I also think it's important to know that on your road to success that there were also some failures. There are a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are really hoping to get it right the first time, but also don't anticipate or expect many failures.
Well, I heard something the other day that I've heard it before, but it really resonated with me. And that is that, you have to try hard things, and successful people do things that are hard that other people would refuse to do. And so I was never afraid to tackle something hard. And I guess the first hard thing that I can remember was playing high school football. And if you've never practiced twice a day in the middle of August with full pads on and getting your brains beat out and running till you can hardly breathe, I mean, after that, you're really not afraid to try something hard. But the whole beauty of trying hard things, and this is, I think, one of the many lessons in this book, is it goes like this. You try something hard, you fail, you get back up, you try it again. Ultimately, you succeed. And as you do that, you build your your persistence, you build your resilience, and you also build your self-esteem and your confidence to try the next hard thing. And so, I guess one of the messages I would want readers to take from my book is to try hard things and fail and fail forward, because failing is the beginning of your journey to success.
So let me ask you, Tom, do you think that young people are afraid to fail? Because failure these days isn't always forgiven. I mean, there's a culture out there that you and I didn't have to deal with, right? We could fail, dust ourselves off, and get back at it. But today, failure can have some very different consequences.
Well, I guess there's different types of failure. There's moral failure, which can be permanent. That's why the first chapter in my book is on personal character, because there's a quote in there that says, if you have personal character, nothing else matters. And if you don't have personal character, nothing else matters. I mean, it only takes one thing. Bill Gates, or not Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Tiger Woods, uh, you know, uh, some of the baseball players that cheated. It just takes one moral failure, and then you can be canceled. But other failures that don't involve failures of character are forgiven, I think. And but yes, there is a broad range of failures that people can be canceled for today. And so there is that fear. And, the scariest thing that I've learned in working with universities is that a third to a half of the students are on anxiety medication because they're so anxious about everything. And I think that's sad. And so, what I'm trying to do in this book is to tell them the truth about life and about success. Because once you understand the truth, and that life is a journey of failures and successes, but there are principles that apply that will lead you to both success and happiness. And if you follow those principles and those habits, you will achieve success and happiness, probably, more likely. And I think that will help that anxiety to just melt away, because the idea of an 18, 19-year-old student being afraid is just, to me, a terrible thing. And that should be the happiest time of your life. And it actually is the happiest time in your life. If you read my book, there's a chapter on happiness, and I hope that you do read it. But happiness peaks at about age 18, declines to the lowest level at 50. This is on average, and then begins getting better again. So, uh, so you should be happy when you're in college, not anxious.
Right. And it's also an opportunity to become a well rounded person. Talk about the importance of character and integrity and the importance of those two components to success, because I think that's something that's misunderstood when people are trying to build a business or even go to work for someone.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about personal character, I think you have to make a list of the criteria or the characteristics that you're talking about. And like everything that's important, it's not as simple as we like to make it. Um, for example, there are two types of character. There's moral character, which would be honesty, integrity, compassion, uh, things like that. Moral character, and then there's performance character, which is hard work, uh, persistence. So the moral character makes you a good human being. The performance character makes you a good worker, but they're two different things. Just because somebody is a hard worker and is persistent doesn't mean they have moral character. So to understand character, you have to understand there's differences like that. But when I started my company, the first thing I did, which is probably the best thing I did, was to lay out a very inspirational vision statement that we wanted to become the best home building organization in America as measured by product quality, customer satisfaction, and profits. And that if we could deliver a great product and great customer service, we deserve to make some money. Okay. But if we didn't do those two things, then we probably didn't deserve it. And so, but then we listed our 6 core values and we put them on the wall and defined them. And they were honesty, integrity, hard work, achievement, compassion, and reliability. And who wouldn't want their home builder to be all those things? And so we didn't keep those our values a secret. And every employee I ever had totally bought in to that vision statement and to those values. So you kind of got to, in my book, I give some exercises where you can make a list of your top performance values and your top moral traits, and then just try to get better. That's all you can do. But be aware when you're breaching one of them.
These days, a lot of young folks are saying, and I'm sure you've heard of this because it's one of your myths versus realities. But I just want to hear from your perspective. So, what they're basically saying is that you've got to learn to work smarter, not harder.
Well, clearly you have to do both. But what I don't like about that phrase is that it implies that if you just work smarter, you don't have to work harder. And I can tell you, if you talk to anybody that has had any kind of significant success in the last 50 years or maybe 2,000 years, they will tell you that they work in at least, probably 60 to 80 hours a week. And a lot of people think, oh, 40 hours a week, that's a that's a full week. But as I tell in my book, a 40-hour week is like going to class in college. If you just go to class and don't do your homework and don't do anything else, you'll probably get a C in that course. Same thing in work. If you put in your 8 hours a day and clock out at 5 o'clock, you're going to be average, and that's not a successful career. But if you want to be successful, you got to put in more time because the work is never done. And so, I mean, in my case, I'll say I work probably close to 80 hours a week my whole career, and I probably still do. Maybe I'm down to 60, but I get twice as much done as people that work 40 hours a week. And so I'm just, me and other people like me, and there's a lot of them. We're just way ahead, and that's the truth.
And you probably have time management down pat.
Yeah, and you don't waste time. Wasting time is the just drives me crazy. I can't stand it, and I think a lot of people that way. And that really though goes back to one of my core values, which is utilitarianism, or not utilitarianism, but utilitarian value, which just says I don't like to waste anything. I don't like to waste time. I don't like to waste money. I don't like to waste resources. I try to make the most out of everything, and that's a great value to have in business, especially home building, because there's a lot of waste in home building.
Tom, how do you define success? I know that everyone has different ways that they look at it, feel about it, but how would you define it for yourself?
And a comment there first. I've interviewed over 400 high school kids, and that was so much fun. I'd spend an hour one-on-one just getting to know them. But I had a few trick questions. And one of them was, how important is career success to you? And they would say, well, it's kind of important, but it's not so important that I would give up my happiness. And so the myth is that you can't have both. If you try too hard to make money or be successful, you're not going to be happy. But as I lay out in my book, that's probably one of the bigger myths out there, that happiness and success are completely unrelated. You can have one, you can have both, or you can have neither. But so my definition of success is not money, and it's not anything material. It's the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And by the way, Earl Nightingale came up with that definition, not me. And that was close to 100 years ago. But it is, to me, the way it really is, because it's a progressive realization. You don't achieve success in a week or a month or a year. It's really over a long period of time when there's a lot of ups and downs and failures and short-term failures. And then, but ultimately, when you look at people that have really had a record of success, that's what it is, a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And that's why the worthy ideal is so important. That you have to set that clear goal for yourself.
Well, there's another very important aspect to your life that you spoke in depth about, and that's about relationships. Why is the partner that we choose in life so important to success?
Wow. Well, I mean, of course, that's huge. That's the number one relationship you're ever going to have in your life. And it can be hard sometimes, but I've been married for 42 years, and we have a great relationship, and we're each other's best friends, and we rely on one another. And I think the reason though that we're still in love and still strong after 42 years is that we both, I think, um, have demonstrated that we're trustworthy to each other, and that there's so it's kind of it's kind of been a moral and ethical marriage. I mean, it's just in every way. I mean, we're honest. If my wife tells me something, I know it's true, and I may not like it, but so obviously that's an important relationship. But so many people are important, and as you go through life, getting to know people and making friendships with them and keeping those friendships is so important. And I tell the story in my book that I wouldn't have had the success that I've had it not been for a lot of old friends that I've kept, and that I went to work for a company and made some friends, and then 10 years later we were in different places, and then we were still in touch, and then one of them reached out to me and told me about an opportunity that led to great things for me. And so just making and keeping friends is a great way to live your life.
Indeed it is. My guest has been Tom Lewis, the founder and CEO of TW Lewis Company, a Scottsdale, Arizona-based real estate investment company, and he's the author of Solid Ground, a foundation for winning in work and in life. Where can we go for more information about you and, of course, to pick up that book?
Yeah, the book website is solidgroundbook.com, and my company's website is twlewis.com. And then you can also find the book on Amazon in audio, ebook, and hardback. And it's selling well. It's beginning to make a real difference. I think the word is spreading, and I think that anybody that takes the time to read it, I can promise them that they will learn a lot of things that they'll find helpful.
And I encourage everyone to check it out as well. Tom, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you, Audrey. Take care.
There's more to come on Talk with Audrey after this. You're watching Talk with Audrey. Welcome back. Joining me now, registered dietitian Frances Largeman-Roth. She shares some nutritious on-the-go snack ideas for kids that are perfect for spring and summer travel season.
Spring can be a busy season for families. Spring sports are in full swing, and with the weather warming up, we're off on outdoor adventures and trips. In fact, studies show we'll be traveling even more this year than we did last year. So being prepared with easy, wholesome snacks that kids love and that don't need to be kept cold can make parents' lives a whole lot easier. I'm Frances Largeman-Roth, a registered dietitian and mom of 3, and here are 3 of my absolute favorite snacks for kids on the go. First up is homemade trail mix, which is so easy to make. This is completely customizable to your kids' tastes, but I like to opt for a base of whole grain popcorn for some fiber, then add a handful of nuts for omega-3s, a little dried fruit for that chewy texture, and a few dark chocolate chips. Second, you can't go wrong with Go-Go Squeeze pouches. My kids love these, from the classic all-fruit blends like apple to the ones with veggies too, like Boulderberry, made with 100% fruits and veggies like apples, carrots, raspberries, strawberries, and blueberries. Sourced from best-in-class orchards and farms at no added sugar, so they're an easy way to get kids wholesome nutrition on the go. And Go-Go Squeeze follows rigorous protocols to make sure its pouches meet or exceed industry standards and regularly test them at a third-party lab here in the US, so they're a snack I can trust, which of course, as a parent, is crucial. My third go-to on-the-go snack for kids is cheese. And if you go for Baby Bell, you have an on-the-go snack that's fun for them to eat. These can also be an easy way to give your kids protein and calcium, plus they go well with whole grain crackers if you want to throw those in a baggie as well. There you have it, my must-have snacks for kids on the go.
And in today's health news, World Immunization Week is a CDC-supported initiative promoting the importance of vaccinations in further protecting our communities from vaccine-preventable diseases. Joining me to talk about the importance of preventative adult vaccinations and the risk associated with vaccine-preventable disease, Dr. Candice Robinson is Director of Scientific Affairs and Public Health Vaccines at GSK, a global biopharmaceutical company that focuses on preventative medicine, and Dr. Liz Moir, Director of Patient Care Services for Albertsons. Welcome. Dr. Robinson, what diseases can be vaccinated against, and what are the risks of not being up to date on routine vaccinations?
Yes, vaccines are one of our most powerful tools that we have for protecting ourselves against vaccine preventable diseases. In the US alone, 16 diseases are now preventable due to routine vaccinations starting in childhood and through adulthood. So this includes flu, RSV, measles, and chickenpox, among others. Vaccines greatly reduce the severity and toll of vaccine preventable diseases across our lifespans. For example, RSV, a respiratory illness which causes up to 160,000 hospitalizations in older adults each year. A single dose vaccine can reduce symptomatic RSV infections in the lungs by more than 80%. And each year, the flu vaccine prevents more than 3.7 million influenza-associated medical visits, so that's visits to your doctor's office, ER, and more than 100,000 hospitalizations.
And how do we know, doctor, if a vaccine is safe and effective?
Yes, like all medicines, vaccines undergo an intensive review process by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, and its outside advisors to really evaluate safety and efficacy, or how well the vaccine protects. Further, the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or ACIP, develops recommendations for U.S. immunizations, including the ages vaccines should be given, the number of doses, and the timing between doses. And finally, even after they are approved for use, biopharmaceutical companies, the CDC, and FDA continue to closely monitor the safety and efficacy of vaccines.
Dr. Moir, what questions should we ask our local pharmacists at Albertsons Safeway about vaccines?
Your pharmacist is a community health partner. They're highly accessible, as most people live within 5 miles of a pharmacy. So you can walk in, or you can pick up the phone and call and ask questions about what vaccines you should have based on your age, or maybe disease states you have, or if you're traveling somewhere. So you can utilize them as a great resource to really figure out what you need and what timing it should be, and if you can get multiple vaccines at a time. So really the sky's the limit with the questions that you could ask.
And where can we go to learn more about that?
So you can go online to albertsons.com/pharmacy or safeway.com/pharmacy and learn more about the vaccines that we offer, as well as scheduling an appointment, learn about travel vaccinations and travel health, and any other, patient-guided services.
Dr. Robinson, are there any resources that can help us keep up to date with our vaccines?
Yeah, that's a great question. A recent survey found that many adults ages 50 to 79 are unfamiliar with the vaccines recommended for them, and providers indicate that most adults are unlikely to receive many of the vaccines they recommend. So, for example, the CDC recommends that adults stay up to date on routine vaccines like flu and Tdap. But really, you should talk to your healthcare provider, because your healthcare provider, your doctor, your pharmacist, may also recommend other vaccines based on your age, health conditions, and lifestyle. And if you receive a vaccine recommendation, but you don't know where to go to get one, GSK is equipping health care providers and patients with a new simple resource, EasyVax. And that's one word, spelled EASYVAX. And it's a mobile vaccine scheduler that allows you to quickly locate and schedule retail vaccine appointments from anywhere, including a provider's office at the point of recommendation.
And as always, I encourage you to check with your doctor or healthcare provider to determine what vaccines are best for you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
And that's it for this week's show. I'm Audrey Adams. Join me here next week for more insightful, intelligent, and inspiring conversations and information to help you improve the quality of your life. It's all about the business of living. I'll see you next week.